What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited to have this episode today because we have special guests, owner and co-owner of Gaidama, and I'm really excited for them to share their story of their process in leading a movement of self-expression through their Spats and their journey. They're a relatively newer company, yes?
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah,
about 2.5 years.
And they have exponential growth, and they've been making such an impact in the industry, specifically for female grapplers. I believe, and it's my knowledge, that you guys first were the ones that released pregnancy leggings.
Definitely, yeah. And I think maybe the only still.
Yeah, I think so. So that's really awesome. I know that women are very appreciative. So I would love to give a little bit of an introduction to these beautiful ladies. So Kendall was born in Louisiana, raised in Houston, Texas. She graduated from high school at 16, went to college in St Petersburg, Florida, then master's in computer engineering from the University of Tulsa on a full ride scholarship, which is awesome. And while attending TU, she took up jiu-jitsu as a hobby. And it was on the mats where she met her husband, Matt, which is now the father of her two children, Raiden, who's a little over 2, and Indiana, who's 11 months, almost a year. And they currently own a gym together, Primate Jiujitsu, and she's also obviously running an empire. And then we have Karla Shellhammer, who was born in Caracas, Venezuela. She moved to the United States on her own at 17 to pursue a college education. She graduated with honors at 19 with an associate's in video production, and then finished her bachelor's in arts in film production at the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, California. The year she graduated, she married her husband, Jay, which is also the father of her two children, Matilda and Luke. And they are black belts and train at Checkmat Phoenix. And when it comes to a little bit of the background of Gaidama was born out of Kendall's vision to design a pair of jiu-jitsu spats that were actually functional and flattering to the female body. So we really praise her for having that vision, because we know that we need that and not have that camel toe.
Hey, Nancy, sorry to interrupt you. It's Gaidama. Gaidama. So it's pronounced like in Spanish, and a lot of people don't feel bad about it. Like, a lot of people ask us about how the name is pronounced, and so it's pronounced like in Spanish. So it wouldn't be like Guy, the G is Guy.
Gaidama.
Yeah, so Gaidama.
I actually studied Spanish.
Yeah,
I
it was my llama.
So I should know that.
Yeah.
But I also have a very heavy East Coast accent, so
Nice.
I will do better on that.
Hey, I tell people that it rhymes with my llama.
Yeah, I love that.
My llama Gaidama, yes.
My llama.
Gaidama.
Yeah.
Gaidama. There we go.
There you go.
So they originally met when it came to competition, and while Kendall was pregnant, she kind of had this vision that she wanted to bring to fruition. She kind of needed some support and reached out to Karla. And about 9 months after they first talked in 2019, they created the Avant-Garde Spats 1.0. They launched that, and they sold out their first batch in 3 months, and the rest is history from there. So we'll definitely be diving into that. Karla became the first official ambassador. And then in April 2021, Karla became part owner of Gaidama. Yes, I got it. And has since ran all their social media operations. She oversees the executive decisions and single-handedly runs the warehouse and logistics, which is a big thing to put on your plate. So that's awesome. And they also have an annual event highlighting their top-selling ambassadors, their competitive athletes, and partner brands. So we'll definitely be diving into that. And one of their aims is to support jiu-jitsu women while also supporting a creative ecosystem in which female grapplers can use their self-expression to thrive in the world. So we'll definitely be diving into that. So thank you, ladies, for being on this show. And I'm excited to have you and have this conversation.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We're looking forward to it.
And for clarifying how to pronounce it, because I'm sure I'm not the only one. So now we all know collectively how to say it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that anyone, maybe there's a couple people, but like no one ever gets it right on the first time.
I never knew how Ruka was pronounced for forever. I always said like RVCA. I never knew it was Ruka, or brands as a, you know, it's kind of your identity, and it's okay. It's okay. Like people ask me how my name is pronounced all the time, you know. It's so, yeah, I like that you're like, I'm a thick East Coast girl. So
Yes.
yeah, Gaidama, that's how you guys say it.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I'd love to just start with the bare bones of those who want to know a little bit more of the women behind that brand, and maybe they follow the brand or have your products, but just the women behind it and the brains behind it. So I'd love for you to start a little bit about, and you guys can choose whoever wants to go first, but you know, what got you started in jiu-jitsu? Like, what was the way the world unfolded to where you started?
Karla, you want to take point on that one?
You can start. You can start.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back and forth like this the whole time, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so I was attending the University of Tulsa. I was working on my master's degree, and I was like, you know, just 100% studying and school and everything. And I got lonely. I didn't know anybody here. I moved to Tulsa to go to school at TU. And my dad had always done jujitsu. He was a black belt in judo, and he had 4 stripes on his brown belt in jiu-jitsu before he had like a really severe injury when he was like a little bit older. So he ended up quitting after that because he had to have some major surgeries. But anyway, so he was doing jiu-jitsu his whole life in judo. And like as a little girl, I can remember like traveling with him, and wherever we'd go, he would find a jiu-jitsu school and go train. And so he always had friends. He was always in amazing shape. And so I thought to myself, you know, I'll give this a shot too. And so I just Googled like jujitsu near me, and I found Primate Jiujitsu. And at the time, Matt had just opened up his own school, like just a couple months before I found it. And so I show up, and of course I know nothing about jujitsu. I know nothing about it. And there was no one there. I didn't even know there was like class times, you know, I just thought I could like walk in. And so no one was there. So I came back the next day, and there was like 3 guys on the mat. There was like this little tiny hole in the wall gym that was like, you know, as big as a bedroom. It was so small. There was like one 10 by 10 mat on the floor, and these 3 sweaty guys rolling around. And I was like, you know, I don't know, maybe. But I talked to Matt, and he was like, yeah, come back tomorrow and like try a class. So I did.
Like,
And
please come.
yeah.
Sweaty dude.
We need you. Yeah. So eventually, you know, that was how we met. And then, oh, it's funny because I called my dad that night, and I was like, Dad, I did my first jiu-jitsu class. And he was like, okay, Kendall, don't fall for the first stud you roll with. And I was like, Dad, I'm not, that's not why I'm here. I'm just trying to get a workout. Don't worry about it. And then like 7 months later, I was like, well, by the way, I married my coach. So
Here I am today.
here we are. So
Amazing. I love that.
Okay, so I actually had no exposure to martial arts versus like, that's what boys did growing up in Venezuela, you know? Like I had a friend, Lorena, who was like a lot more tomboyish, and she did karate, and I thought that was cool when I was younger. But I actually grew up doing flamenco. I was like more like in the expressive arts, you know, and so I grew up dancing. I did so with a professional, what do you call it, an academy.
Yeah.
So I had a discipline, but you know, never in my life I even thought I would be good at jiu-jitsu or fighting or, you know, doing any kind of combat sports. I used to like watching boxing with my dad. That's all like I can remember, but just going on the same background aspect. But when I married my husband, he was a purple belt, and that was just the thing he did. That was his thing, and I always respected that. I always thought it was good that he had his thing and I had mine, you know. But he was always kind of just telling me like, you love it. I mean, we lived in Florida, LA. He trained at amazing gyms while we were there, and I never even thought of, I mean, I would go to the promotions and stuff to support, but never even thought like, oh, I want to get into this. So anyways, fast forward, my son was 2. I was sick of Zumba and like group fitness classes and things like that. And anyways, also like my daughter was born with a spine condition. So that always, since she was born, kind of, I was already into fitness when I started jiu-jitsu. I was already kind of in shape as a mom, you know, and I was working when she was younger, but then I got to stay at home and kind of pursued a fitness life, and just kind of did it by studying and myself, and like seeing what made me feel good with eating. And I was just always curious about it. But it wasn't until I got into jiu-jitsu and when my husband finally was like, just come to an open mat and give it a try. When I found out that I was like, oh my God, this is my thing. Like, it's technique. It's like what I did growing up. And it just spoke to my body in a really awesome way and nothing else ever did. So that plus wanting to inspire my own children, I think I struggled with addiction when I was younger. So when I became a mom, I was really young. I was just kind of out of it, living that kind of life. So, it was one of the things that I felt like pursuing a practice in martial arts held me accountable and allowed those dark thoughts and shadows that were still a part of me and are still a part of me to be a tool, and not be something that I was consistently like, just pushing myself down about. Yeah. So anyways, that's how I started. My husband finally got me to go to open mat. Then I started going to class consistently. And he told me, if you compete in 3 months and then you keep competing, you're going to progress fast, because through competition, you can definitely, I feel like in jiu-jitsu, get, a different level of understanding of the art. So anyways, that's how I did. I got into it and I got absolutely obsessed about it. And it really feeds and fuels my life because of everything that it encompasses. So, back when I got into it, I didn't even know half of the things of where I would be 7 years later, because I decided to step foot on a mat and fall in love with something. So.
100%. Yeah, it's so interesting how we initially start maybe for like fitness or self-defense, or we're convinced by others, and what we realize along the journey, which I'm sure you ladies have, being a brown belt and black belt as well, is, it really becomes a vehicle for personal development, and so like really mirroring like yourself and like your strengths and your weaknesses and fighting those demons and all those things. And it's like, it becomes so much more than just a sport, like really a lifestyle, and that's why I believe it's so addictive.
Yeah.
Because of what it has to offer us. Yeah. And having a background as a dancer, it literally translates directly into jiu-jitsu, because the flow and fluidity, and then body awareness, you came in with that. So it was always something that can set you up for success.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that, like, I'm grateful that I came into jiu-jitsu with some kind of coordination and like being able to like follow steps, because my son, I love him to death, but he's the most uncoordinated. And I'm like, it takes time. I feel that way. I'm like, sometimes still feel that way, like that child. So yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. It was awesome getting to know your stories and backgrounds, and I'd love to transition to talk about the history of Gaidama and why. We talked a little bit about why you created it, but if there's anything else to add of like why you created it, the intention behind the name, and also your mission, your overall mission of Gaidama.
I mean, why it was created is because there was nothing comparable on the market, and we needed something that kept us covered and that was functional, that stayed up during training, that covered us in that important area. In jiu-jitsu, like, our butts are literally in men's faces sometimes. And personally, I used to wear shorts, either compression shorts under my leggings or board shorts over my leggings when I trained, because I didn't feel like there was enough coverage in that area. And so I'd see these spats that I wanted to wear online that had like patterns on the hip area and stuff, but I could never show it off because I was always wearing shorts over them. And so I was like, well, that sucks, like, I wish that there was something else that was built in there that covered everything up. And so I used to be into cosplay. I have been sewing my whole life. So I was like, I'm just going to make a pair and see what happens. I'm going to make my own spats and see what happens. And so I did. I designed them and sewed the first pair in my living room.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
Love that.
I decided that was what I wanted to train in. So I had this like second layer built into the saddle area, and this different waistband that was a little bit more secure and stayed up during training. And I mean, it was a rough prototype, but I had all the idea there, all the pieces were there. And so after that, I went and tried close to 20 different manufacturers from all over the world, and had them make me a prototype based on the pattern that I gave them. And I picked the one that had the absolute best product by far and the best customer service. And we've been so happy with our manufacturer. She's amazing.
She's
and so,
which is pretty cool.
yeah. So that, I mean, really it's just all gone from there. Now, instead of sewing anything myself, I don't do that anymore, but I do sketch out the patterns and give them to her, and then she does the official templating for me and manufacturing. As far as the name goes, and the logo, so actually originally the original thought for the name came from a book series called The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, and it's like a high fantasy series.
Yeah, I
And
know.
there's this, okay, well, there's this group of like male martial people in it that protect the female magical people, and they're called Gaidans, but they're all males. And so I took that name and I thought, well, I like it, but I need it to be something female. And so I started doing some research, and the letters G-A-I, Gai, in Basque mean having the ability to overcome, to meet a challenge, the capability to do something. And then of course I changed the end to Dama, which means lady in Spanish. So together it's this like empowered martial female figure.
Amazing.
And then the logo is a kitsune. So this is like a mythical creature from Asian lore that it's very like shifty, shape shifting, often depicted as a woman, very wise and cunning. And so it just seemed like all of these pieces together sort of embodied what it initiated the first vision in a direction. It gave it direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And real quick, I have to ask, out of pure curiosity, you creating your own leggings, what material did you use?
Well, my first ones, I just got material from Joann's. So it wasn't like anything special. You know what I mean? Like I was just trying to design like a new pattern. But then as I started getting these prototypes made, the initial prototypes, then my manufacturer supplied me with a bunch of fabric samples, and then I chose from there. So we just chose like a really premium quality compression fabric that had the right feel for jujitsu, that was nice and compressive.
Please.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
The not see-through thing, it was definitely a real issue. I mean, you've been doing jujitsu for about how long, Nadi?
12 years.
Yeah, like 7 years. And I can definitely say when I got on, how do you say? I got on boat. I got on the wagon.
On board.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. You guys are gonna have to help me. Kendall knows me, so she helps me. When I got on board with Gaidama, I definitely like I said when I wrote you, I was a little skeptical, like, oh my gosh, she's a little bit crazy, but all right, I'm gonna help her.
It's okay.
I was like, she's sending me like leggings, and I was like, oh, and they're actually like stay up, and they're not see-through, and no camel toe. I mean, and yeah, that was kind of, such a serendipitous thing that happened too. And when she talks about the story of Gaidama and like how the word, it's a Basque word. My grandpa was from the Basque country in Spain, and all my cousins are named in Basque, except us, because my mom wanted to follow more she named me after my dad, but like more like traditional names, I was jealous of my cousins. They all have like Biots, Eder, Dana, Guy. So Gaidama. I was like, that my grandpa gave me that name back. Okay. Anyways.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love how serendipitous it all is. And sometimes the best things in life you can't always plan, you know, and I feel like our partnership is one of those things in my life that I feel so thankful and grateful for. And she gave me an outlet through a big crisis in my life too, that I don't think she was even aware of, but now she is. So I you know,
I love that. And you guys, I'm clear, like the way you guys met was through competition, like you were going to compete with each other, or how did that play out?
So I'll tell the story. So I think what year was it, Kendall? 2017. And okay, so it was not 2018, maybe beginning of the year or something. So an acquaintance or a friend of ours, Maria Angel, we both know her from the community, but we met her separately, and she has a gym in Tulsa as well. And she had this little like super fight thing that they did at their gym called Battle My Crew. And so I saw Maria Angel at Nogi World earlier, I think that in December, because it was December 2018 or something. I don't remember the year. Oh my God. But anyways, so then it didn't happen. The fight, it didn't end up happening. Kendall got injured. But we kind of, you know, like befriended each other on Facebook and social media. So just stayed in touch, kind of like knew of each other. But it definitely was like, I think she thought of like, oh, maybe this girl, like she's my size and like she's gonna be able to fit in the Spats. And she always compliments me too, and she's very nice to me. And she's like,
it was the butt. I think it was the butt.
She had a girl crush, and I was like, oh, okay. And then we actually did end up fighting the first time we ever rolled, because we went so freaking hard.
We always do. We always do.
We go like try to kill each other. She tried to calf slice me so hard, but I didn't tap, and I got out, and then she got out of my really deep arm bar. So we love each other.
We're still 0-0.
I love that. Yes, I just wanted to learn more about like how you guys came into each other's worlds. And so even more specifically, I'd love to know, like, we kind of discussed like that creative aspect. Obviously you have very much a creative aspect to yourself, Kendall, like being a sewer and creating and being part of the mission. But I'd love to know, like, what is the ultimate mission of Gaidama?
Well, we kind of make it up as we go along. I mean, we definitely want to be providing the best quality products to the women's grappling community. And to do that, we also offer an outlet for community feedback and engagement. So we're constantly evolving our designs based on what the community's changing needs are, any feedback that they have, because, you know, we're not in it to just make a dollar. Like, look at anything that we've done and you can see that from us. Like, I mean, this open mat event that we have, like, that's for the love of the game. We are definitely out thousands of dollars putting that on, but it's because we love what we do and we want to bring this kind of excitement to the women's grappling community. And the same goes for, you know, what we're doing with the whole business. Like, everything we do, we put our hearts in it. We put our passion behind it. We're happy with it. That's why it takes us so long to release anything. Our stuff goes through, like, I mean, honestly, the Spats went through prototyping for over a year before we launched them, because it was like, we didn't want to put anything out that we didn't believe in 100%.
100%.
And still we change over time, you know?
Yeah, we feel like we want to like ethically market these things because we needed them, you know. We also felt like we are building what we needed. And I want to pitch in a little bit into, it's not just the Spats, but like the media platforms for women in our sport that are like, hey, we are not just like the second page story, you know, like we can be the whole platform too, you know, if we want to. And so anyways, I wanted to say that, like, that,
yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
what Kendall did inspired me to be like, as someone that makes a media, you know, content maker, I'm like, oh yeah, there's this space that this community has these needs, and we're here to fulfill them. So.
Yeah, so we're here to support the women's grappling community, to listen to them, to take their feedback, to bring the best quality products that we can to market. We support our athletes in every way that we can. We are always giving back to our communities. And a secondary mission that we have, of course, is to protect and preserve our planet to the best of our ability. So we spend a lot of money on high-end eco-friendly packaging. We're actually on goal to be plastic-free by the end of this year. So all of our inner packaging and our shipping materials are all going to be paper-based, which is naturally biodegradable. So it doesn't matter if you recycle it or not, it biodegrades on its own. We do a lot of research into like the best, eco-friendly kind of stuff on the market, and we go for that. We opt for that. So that's part of it. We have quarterly donations to the Ocean Cleanup Project because that's part of our mission as well.
Love that.
So like big part of our to them.
Quality of product, quality of service, engagement with the community, support of our community, listening to our community, providing to them, and then, protecting and preserving the planet.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you kind of highlighted a little bit of like the details of why you created it. But is there anything that you want to highlight as far as what you notice as the biggest gaps in the female clothing industry that you feel that you fit? Or that you fill rather?
I mean, I think we touched on most of that. Honestly, the see-through thing is probably the number one. I know that there are several gyms in the country that don't even allow the women to train there without wearing shorts over their spats because of that reason. And I think that Gaidama is changing that because of that second layer that we integrate into the saddle area that essentially acts as having compression shorts under your leggings in a way. So, I mean, I really think that's the biggest one, the waistband thing too, but like Karla said too, the platform that we're giving women as well, like that's not available anywhere. And so, Karla has built this like social media empire for us that supports our athletes and our community, engages with them constantly. We give back in ways that nobody else is giving back.
Like I haven't really, I mean, I've done a lot, but I feel like it's been a boiling pot, there was such a, gap in the market for something like Gaidama, especially in jiu-jitsu, in our niche community. So I feel like it's kind of built itself up. It's like girls start noticing like, oh, hey, this is a brand that is actually using jiu-jitseras, and like girls that actually are doing jiu-jitsu every day, like bring their kids to the gym to model in our shoots, like we're using our own girls. We're not going casting with, a casting agency, like a modeling agency to, fit some kind of box. We are doing our own thing. And sometimes in the process, it can be hard. We sometimes feel like total white belts, like me, myself, like in what I do in social media. Like sometimes, it's hit or miss. It's such an ever-changing market and industry. So in everything I'm saying, like social media and also like the jiu-jitsu community as well, I feel like always new things going on and new people coming into it. So I feel like being open to welcoming that, like, hey, if you
inclusive,
if you engage with us, we'll engage back, and it's just of course, when you're a brand and you're holding a container for so many people, so many energies, you can't always be reciprocate. It's something, it's very hard, but definitely when people invest in us, we invest in them, and they
that's
know
true.
that, and they know that. So that's what's important to us.
I love that so much. Like you've really recognized where that gap was, and like you were, I think, kind of pointing out was this idea where like the community starts to run itself, because there was such a need for that type of container and community that like you kind of created that host, and it was able to allow them to kind of, grow it for you in a way, because people want and crave that community. So you were able to create that container, recognize it wasn't there, and then be able to start that community, start that brand, but then it becomes self-sufficient. Yes.
And also seeing people when they are, investing in you and putting their skills, because I feel like from before Gaidama, something I did was I used to edit highlights for athletes and amateur jiu-jitsu athletes, myself included. And it just, you know, it translated so well when I went into Gaidama, because it's, you know, I was able to use so much content that the girls were just putting out there for me, and it was great. You know, it definitely taught me a lot, and it keeps doing that. So.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a symbiotic relationship.
100%.
Definitely symbiotic, yeah, perfect.
Love that word. Yeah, that's my favorite word.
Yes. Kendall, I know that you had mentioned that you sketch out your designs and things like that, but I'd love to know a little bit more about your creative process in designing your pieces. Like maybe what's the inspiration behind the patterns that you choose? I know that you said you get a lot of feedback from the community, but like, what does that whole process and relationship look like?
Well, it's changed a lot since the beginning. So in the beginning, it was very much like I would draw a pattern out. Of course, the first ones I made, but even after that, like I changed some things here or there, send it to Helen, my manufacturer, have her prototype it, test it out, change some things again, prototype again, sketch some more things. And so that was the process originally. It still kind of looks like that sometimes, but now that I've been working with her for like three and a half years now, she's sort of developed an idea of like what our needs are as well, even though she has no notion of jujitsu whatsoever. Like she now has an idea of like what I'm looking for. And so she also helps me a little bit. But inspiration comes from everywhere. I mean, sometimes Karla will send me she's like, hey, you know, I wore these shorts today from this company and I really like the material, or I wore, you know, these pants from here and I really like the way that they fit in this one particular spot, or, you know, this fabric feels good. You know what I mean? Or even the community will say things like, hey, you know, we would like to see this, or this, like the, you know, the board shorts. Like we had people asking for board shorts for a long time, you know, with no Velcro and, you know, things like that. So inspiration just comes from all over. And then we take these pieces from all these different places and try to build something that fits our specific needs from all of it.
Yeah, I love that. And then as far as the patterns, like I'd love to know like the inspiration of like the pattern themselves, because you pump out some crazy
the graphics, you mean like the art?
Graphics. Yeah, like the graphic art and the inspiration behind some of that, because those are just like epic pieces. And I'm like, where does that come from? It's like murals on Spats.
Well, so we call it artwear. And it is.
I love that.
It's art. It's art that you wear on your body when you train. And it comes from different places too. So the first piece that we put out was the Kitsune Warrior set. And so Mirkatsu did that one. He's done 3 pieces for us now. And that was inspired by the Kitsune logo. You know, that was like kind of our thing. The second one, Karla had a lot of input in the Yaobikuni set. Karla, you might want to talk a little bit about your flying fish thing or whatever.
I was gonna kind of it's because when you were saying like about my random inspo texts, and then I'm like, I went into a Sambo rabbit hole today.
Yeah.
And I really like their shorts.
Yeah.
And also their throws. So anyways, yeah, I love that Kendall lets me be a part of it. I mean, obviously my input in the Yaobikuni was like, put flying fish in there. I grew up in the Caribbean and I remember seeing them, and like, it's like my inner child, you know, kind of spoke to it. So
the point is it comes from everywhere, you know, like it's a collaborative thing.
And the guy that designed the new ones is definitely a little gold mine that Kendall found. And
yeah, so that, you know, I have a background in art too, but there's only so many hours in a day, and you know, you can't do everything. So we outsource the graphics. And so I can't even tell you how much money I have spent on crappy graphics, you know, like, because you don't know, like you trust somebody to design something for you. You say, hey, here are some patterns that I would like to see, some art, some different themes. Here's some themes. So we'll give them themes. But, you know, a lot of it is trash. And so you just like throwing money out the window, like all this trash art. Well, then blessedly, we landed on this guy from Bulgaria, and he is so amazing and just gets so excited about designing new art for us. And like, you know, we love it. So, you know, Karla and I talk and we come up with themes, and we just throw some themes at him, and he'll send us like 10 different versions of one
my
theme. And I'm like, and they're all amazing. And so, you know, we
love
I,
you.
I would say that we got lucky finding him, but I don't think that's true because I think you make your own luck. And, you know,
Yeah.
there was definitely like a ton of effort and resources spent in finding the right artist for our brand that matched our, you know, what we're trying to do.
Your vision. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So cool. And shifting a little bit, because I think it would definitely be something people would love to hear, being business owners, competitors, and moms, what are some of the biggest obstacles you face growing your business and brand and navigating all of these roles and hats that you guys wear?
Go ahead, Karla.
Obviously it's I think, you know, capital. Sometimes, you know, it's like having, I think, especially as someone that is a storyteller and has such a big vision for such a small budget, sometimes, you know, it can feel restraining being a small business, knowing what we're capable of and our potential. So, you know, it's just, I think that's the biggest challenge always. It's just still, you know, striving through the lows and knowing that, you know, just keep grinding. And that applies obviously to jiu-jitsu as well in so many ways, and everything in life. As a mom, keep grinding, right? Like just sit through that discomfort, you know, breathe through it. Kendall and I are always like, we have to breathe. We have, you know, there's challenges in everything you're going to do in your life. So, but also trying to, you know, embrace what's, you know, what is the beautiful thing, and that we're doing something we love, and
Yeah,
very, very lucky for that. So yeah, I think what would you think, Kendall, is
like that purpose?
yeah, what would you say, Kendall? It's sometimes the most
I mean, there are a lot of challenges to it. So like Karla said, capital is definitely a challenge. I mean, I gave up a very lucrative engineering career to pursue this full time after my second baby was born. And, you know, that definitely for a family of four, that presented a challenge for us because my income was like our number one income. But we found ways to navigate it. And like Karla said too, you know, there's these peaks and swells, and you just ride the wave through it just like anything else. One of the biggest challenges that I personally face is that I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I mean, truly,
can we all snaps and claps to that? Like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
No, you know, like like I said, we're just making it up as we go along. But we're driven by our vision. We're driven by the engagement that we have with the community. And so, you know, we have confidence in what we're bringing to the table. And so we're just going to keep riding that wave. But I mean, honestly, like neither of us have a background in business. Like we don't have the first clue. Like, you know, every time I change something on the website, I spend like an hour trying to figure out how to do it first, you know, like, I mean, yeah, I have a software background, but it's not a web development background. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with email marketing, you know, like I do a bunch of research with other companies and see what they're doing and try to, you know, take some of the ideas on how to reach people. And I know Karla does the same thing with social media. I know she does a lot of research too on what the new social media trending, you know, algorithms are doing or whatever, you know, I don't know anything about that shit.
Do the same thing with business. Yeah.
Yeah, you just make it up as you go along. You just keep learning.
It's like all about like finding the holes in your game.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I always like that analogy because it just applies. And yeah, it's like you're always gonna have holes in your game because it's impossible to be a one-man band. It's even though, and then, you know, I think understanding that you need to ask for help and you need to reach out, it's growing up. You know, it's growing up, and it really, sometimes I think it's that little push to success that you really need in your own life, right? It's and knowing that success is not always going to be an everlasting thing. It's like we're saying, it can go in peaks, hills and peaks.
Absolutely. And I think I really, really want to just like highlight this part of the conversation because I feel like so many women need to hear that, you know, giving up, you know, this full-time breadwinning type income to pursue something, you know, that's really connected to like a deeper passion. That is like one of my missions, you know, to help people do. But I understand there's a lot of fear there because there's a lot of that security, that safety that we're giving up. But it's like, if we can lean into trusting that like the vision that we have, you know, came to us for a reason. And like, we'll just, if I believe in my ability to push through and figure it out, like it's impossible to fail. Like, yes, there's going to be ebbs and flows, but if you reach out for support, if you create a community that will support you, and if you just know deep down that like you're so committed to this and you'll figure out a way to make it work, like you have to go for it. Like, I feel like you have to go for it, or you're always going to wish that you did go for it and you never really did, you know? And like, you're going to be so much always that you don't know. Hi, jujitsu, right? It just translates right to jujitsu. But can you be willing to do what it takes to fill those gaps, right? Like, I hate email marketing, but yes, I sit down and every email that I receive from other people, I analyze, I study. What do they do? What pieces do I like? What emails do I delete? You know, because I don't like them. Like, this is just me learning, and then integrating what works. And then if it flops, cool, we scratch it. What's next? You know, so like, that's just literally how life is. And if you can have that resiliency, that perseverance, that indomitable spirit, because you're connected to a deeper vision, that is what I believe is really the key. Because if you're not connected to that vision, of course you're going to give up. Shit's hard.
There's
so many more lows maybe than there are highs. Unfortunately, like there's a lot of like trudging through that quicksand, but when you stay connected to that vision, that North Star, it's like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing it though.
Dude, even think about it, like laying on the couch gets hard as fuck. You die there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, anything can get hard. I love that. I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yes, it's really, really cool. I really honor you guys for you doing that and being honest. Like, I love that you're just like, we're figuring it out as we go.
Oh yeah.
So many people need to hear that. And to see that you are having success. Like, you are having success. You are building community. You know, your products are desired in this industry, and to know that like the owners, you know, are being open and honest of like, we're figuring it out as we go. It like gives people other permission to like, maybe they want to start something on their own. It's like, oh, they look like they have their shit together, but they don't really have their shit together, right? And so that's everybody. But what social media highlights, obviously, it's like, oh, everybody, it's like a perfect A to Z scenario. It's like, no, it's just they keep going.
That's right.
It's media. You take it for what it is sometimes, you know, and it tells a story, and sometimes stories have a little fiction too, you know, and it's hard because when you come into like, you know, with an innocent approach to social media, you know, you're gonna be disappointed like a child, you know, and you'll be betrayed, and you'll feel like this is hard, you know, but it is media, it's storytelling. So it's not real life. This is real life, like what we're talking about here.
Exactly why I wanted to have you on the podcast, to kind of have this conversation. And we talked a little bit about the ways in which you give back to your athletes and the community, but just as more of like in that leadership role, what do you believe is the key to creating an engaged community that you found in being able to do so yourself?
Well, a good story, a good vision. And that started definitely with Kendall. When she was running the social media, she got the first 5,000 followers on that account, and it was all, you know, through, hey, I have this product that I want to sell to you guys that's really fucking awesome.
Being honest with them, like you said, and authentic and open, being receptive to feedback. I mean, nobody's going to stay engaged with something that they don't feel like they're being heard from, or that they don't have any kind of, that they can't relate to. Giving back. We run so many different promotions through our social media channel. We do giveaways all the time. We do a Fox fam now. So like once a month, we pick someone from our community who engages with us a lot or buys from us a lot, and we send them like a $250 care package once a month. And then once a year, we pick from those 12 winners and fly somebody out to our big open mat photo shoot. So just someone from our community gets a all expenses paid trip to this big event. And, you know, I don't know any other brands who are doing stuff like that.
Mm.
And we give back to our athletes in a lot of ways too. We offer them a 10% commission on their sales. So they each have a code and they earn a 10% commission on sales. We have bonus payouts that they can earn through competition or social media engagement. So we offer all these different ways that our athletes can earn real money. I mean, some of
They
our
get
athletes,
well, like the brand exposure of themselves too, you know, through our platform, and
right.
same us through their own platform. You know, it's all been an exchange. It's not been like, oh, here we are the the empire, and then, you know, it's like, no, we're here, like you said, symbiotic. We want a symbiotic relationship in that community, because that's what communities are, right? It's given.
Yeah.
And Karla does a really good job of like resharing and reposting just other people from our community that make content, you know, with our clothes, you know, sharing. And so they, like she said, they get exposure on our page too. And we benefit from them, you know, doing that kind of thing. So it really is like, we really try to give back in every way that we can to our people, because that's where the growth is. Like, that's where the success is like in the hearts of the people that are with us in this journey.
100%. I love that so much. And you've mentioned it, so I want to dive into it, and it's a good segue. Tell us more about what this annual event entails. And you kind of mentioned a little bit about what you offer the athletes, but if you have specifics of like what the athlete ambassador program is, and like if that differentiates from like the competitive, you have like also like top competitive athletes, if that's different from the ambassador program, or like what that's like, and also like about that annual event. And if somebody wants to become an ambassador, like what's that process?
I feel like I'm gonna let Kendall talk about the open mat event, and I feel like we do different things with different athletes, and we'll just touch on that after she goes on that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so we have like a standard ambassador program, and some of our ambassadors are like OGs. They've been with us since the very beginning. And we do offer them a 10% commission on their sales. So they have like a unique discount code that they share with their community. And then they can each once a month earn a competition bonus. So if they go compete at a major event wearing Gaidama, then we pay them up to $200, depending on like their belt rank and whether they win or not. So they can earn up to $200 once per month on competition alone. Likewise, they can earn up to $200 per month on a social media post based on engagement. And so, you know, we had an athlete that earned about $400 just from commissions in October. So, you know, you do the math, like we can pay quite a bit of money out on a monthly basis to an individual athlete.
That's amazing.
And then our top ambassadors, which that could be sales, social media content, or competition, you know, there's kind of a gray area there. We pick and choose, you know, at our discretion, and we invite them to our big open mat event. We also have like some temporary athlete sponsorships that we offer when, you know, competitors come to us and say, hey, you know, I have a big no-gi competition coming up, like, would you be interested in sponsoring me? Like, if they're, you know, a good candidate for our program, then we'll offer them a temporary sponsorship and, you know, give them maybe like a temporary code that's just for like 1 month, send them a care package of gear, and then, you know, do something like that. So we have different kinds of athlete sponsorship programs too.
That's awesome.
Tiers.
Yeah, different tiers.
And partnerships, and like we've partnered with influencers, and we've experimented, you know, with like, and I feel like I kind of want to share a little bit about this. Like what we were talking about social media, and sometimes, you know, that being like a smoke show, or
Smoke screen.
Yeah, smoke screen.
You are the smoke show, Karla. You're the smoke show.
Yeah. The three of us. Let's take it. Anyways, the smoke machine.
Smoke machine.
Anyways, I'm sorry. So I feel like, because number wise, like, you know, not gonna mention any names or anything, but sometimes like big follower numbers on social media like don't sell as much as like women that have like smaller, like compact communities, like of like 4K followers, you know, and like things like that. So we've learned a lot through the process, and this is why we always kind of obviously don't want to just like jump in and like just sponsor someone and like, here we're just gonna, because we need to know like that it's a partnership, that it's something that it can you know last, let's say, and that they care about the gear and that they like the gear too, because you know it's not about like, oh, I'm gonna just have a code and sell something. It's, we want you to like our gear.
Yeah.
And well, and a lot of our top ambassadors were customers first. They bought our gear and they loved what they wore, and then they reached out to us and said, hey, I love what you're doing, can I be a part of it? And then if it was a good fit, then we brought them on board. So you know, like Karla said, we've also been burned too. You know, we've had people that, you know, were relatively well known with big followings that wanted to be a part of what we were doing. And, you know, when we were young and naive, we got super excited about, you know, oh, 25K followers, like, whoa, this is going to be great for the brand. And then, you know, it wasn't. So we don't discriminate again among, you know, how many followers you have or what belt level you are or whether you're a world champion or not. You know, like what we want is somebody that's going to share our vision, that is interested in what we're doing, that loves what they're wearing, and, you know, that is willing to grind for it too. You know, we work hard for our ambassadors and we want them to work hard for us too. Like we need it to be a symbiotic relationship. It's not a one-way street.
100%.
And we give back so much to our athletes who give to us. So, you know, we like to support them as much as possible. And with this event, so the Gaidama Epic Open Mat, we just had our second annual event. And
where'd you host it?
We hosted at Primate Jiujitsu.
Okay.
So the Gaidama warehouse is actually in the back of Primate. So all of our gear is there. So it's convenient because we can, you know, put a booth out right there and then put it all back when we're done.
For sure.
And we have a pretty big facility, you know, we just moved recently, so we have a nice space for it. But anyway, so we invite everyone from the whole community. This year we had like an amazing charcuterie board that we had one of our jujiteras who owns a small business for party, you know, what do you call it? She does like party setup and stuff. Party planning, yeah. So she catered this beautiful charcuterie board for us. We had another lady from Oklahoma City donate a bunch of pastries. So it was just like amazing. And then of course we have our booth there and we drop a lot of new gear live there. So, you know, this is the first chance you have to buy this gear before some of it hasn't even gone on the website yet. And it's offered there at a special price. We also fly in, I think we had like 8 or 9 of our ambassadors that we brought in this. I mean, it was a lot. It was originally going to be 6 and then we just ended up bringing in a few more. So
there was like a total of 10 because we also have Hannah, who is essentially like, she's like our first TikTok partner. So I feel like she was also like part of the brown black belt team there.
So a lot of brown and black belt women that we bring in from all over the world, high level athletes, all different shapes and sizes to this event. We pay for their flights, we pay for the hotel, we offer transportation everywhere. And we bring them to this event. It's just an open mat, so it's like 2 hours of rolling.
Okay.
And it's co-ed, so it's not just a female event. Like, you know, everybody from everywhere is allowed to come, and we have, you know, all ages, all belt levels. A lot of high level athletes come and participate. We had a ton of people on the mat. So it's just a good time. You know, it's laid back. It's not structured really. You know, we just show up and we roll with, you know, and you have an opportunity to roll with these people that you normally wouldn't get to roll with. And then for our athlete team, the following day, we have like a big photo shoot. Everybody, you know, gets to come into the studio and take some nice pictures, you know, wearing the new gear and everything. And so it's just kind of this way that, you know, it's all for the love of the game. Like I said, we're not making any money off of this. We're out a lot on this event, but it's fun and people love it and it's cool. And we get to come to this co-ed event, which I don't know of any other event that's like this. You know, there's a lot of women's events, but this is a co-ed event where there's men and women there. And we highlight the female athletes at this event. So in front of all the men and boys there, like they're seeing these high level female athletes that are getting this like really cool opportunity that you know, other brands are doing stuff like that.
You read like all of our accomplishments at the beginning of the open mat, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's it. Like, no more.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
you know,
so cool. It's so magical because I feel
it's
like
magical.
we're to being like, hey, this is you, and yeah, thanks. That was so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And so what does the future look like for Gaidama? Do you have any big plans as far as new releases, or I'm sure you do something down, but if it's secret, you can just let us know that it's a secret to stay tuned. But is there anything that you want to share?
Well, by the time this podcast drops, we will have released a whole bunch of apparel. So that's coming this Friday. Like the hoodie. So that's going to be new. And then we're working on gis. So we will have gis next year.
Ooh.
And yeah, and we're also working on a men's line.
Ooh,
That's a secret. That's been the biggest secret. The gi, we've kind of given hints here and there through like.
Oh, this is awesome.
Actually, should I show her the picture, Karla? What do you think? It's right here on my wall.
Yeah, just do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm ready to show it.
Okay. Well, here is so we commissioned a piece of art for the liner of the gi and like the, you know, like the reinforcements on the inside of the cuff and pant leg, you know, so like just little accents here and there. So we commissioned a gallery level artist from New York named Antoinette to paint us a picture that we then digitized and are going to use for the gi.
So cool.
Here it is.
I know.
Oh my!
I can't even see it. I can't even see the detail. But anyways.
Oh wow, that's really cool. I love like that little girl kind of holding
like Alice, like Alice in Wonderland.
There's just so much going on in it.
She put the Alice in there. We told her all these like female Easter eggs. Like,
yeah, there's so many Easter eggs in it, and that's kind of why, you know, we love it so much, because there's just a ton of little details and fun. You know, you could look at it for a long time and see something new every time. So
that definitely is a piece of artwork. It reminds me of like when you do go to an art gallery and like every time you see it, it's like you see something different. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that you have it framed on your wall. I think that's super. So cool. Oh my gosh. So lots of fun things coming down the pipeline. Stay tuned, everybody. And with that said, how and what is the best way? Obviously, social media. We'll put the link to that in the show notes. Is there any other way that people can connect with you if they want to connect, maybe on a personal level, if you do that like individually, or just like with the Instagram, if there's any other way that they can connect?
I mean, Kendall's never on Instagram, but I use my personal Instagram quite a lot to promote Gaidama too. So, I mean, I feel like it's not a good way to reach me about Gaidama, because I don't want to open that can of worms, but but honestly, like, yeah, like I'm good about engaging and stuff. In general, if you want to get to know me personally, then yeah, that's where I post all my crazy stuff.
The best way to connect with the company is going to be through the Instagram page.
Yeah, Gaidama.
Yeah. And we also have, you know, if you have like questions about the brand or sizing or shipping or ordering or whatever, then definitely by email is the best way to reach us for that. And I'm always on the other side of that email. And it's and that's support@gaidama.com.
Perfect. I'll make sure that's in the show.
We also definitely want to promote like our YouTube. So Karla can talk about the YouTube, and we're also on TikTok. And of course we have a Facebook page. So pretty much and we have a Spotify now, Karla, if you want to.
Yeah, I'm putting us out there, but I don't have a Twitter yet. So maybe I'll get on it since Elon's on it now. I don't know. I guess
Twitter's still like a thing?
I don't know. I don't really do Twitter. So that's the only one we don't have. But we have Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. Send me all those links and I'll put them in the show notes for sure.
Okay. And we just started a Fox Fix 1 minute fix your technique video kind of thing that's going to be good. So
yeah, actually for that, yeah, it's on YouTube. So it's like a 1 minute fix your technique, and we are so we film it here in Phoenix, Arizona. So we are actually inviting like all like brown and black belt Gaidama wearing like foxes out there that want to show their best detail. If if they want to reach out through the Gaidama Instagram, I'm more than available through there to talk about that stuff. Like partnering to, even with you, Natty, like I would love to like make something happen. So I know you've posted stuff. I know you and Misty, I know I've reposted something you and Misty did a while back. And
it's probably me beating her up. I don't know.
No, you were just filming the technique. I think because she posted it with like a collab thing, and it was
okay.
doing like a butterfly pass and stuff or something. And so anyway,
our reels do really well of me beating her up, like literally, like they go viral every time I'm beating her up. All right, I guess we got to do more of it.
Yeah, she's like, I'll take it. It's all for the sake of art. Okay.
Amazing. So I'd love to just wrap up with just like a fun little question of right now, where you're at in jiu-jitsu, what's your favorite submission or takedown at the moment?
Okay, chokes for sure. I feel like I've just like, when I got my black belt, all I care about are chokes. Like that's all I want to learn about right now. I don't care about anything else. and takedown, I've been hitting this single leg that Karen taught me like 3 years ago. Karen Antunes is my coach. She's my professor. I love her so much. And
I love that woman.
And she calls it carrying the baby. And
amazing.
I've been hitting it. I hit it at the open mat and I was like, carrying the baby. So anyway, yeah, that's my
amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Karen.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a submission or a takedown, but at the open mat, I was rolling with one of our athletes, Victoria Antalante.
Oh, she's salty about this.
I'm still salty about it. And she leg dragged the fuck out of me and stuck it so hard. And it was like the cleanest no-gi leg drag to pass that I've ever happened to me in my whole life. It was so tight and so sticky. And so I'm like working my leg drag now. I'm like, man, I got to step up my game. That was.
Victoria has pressure, man. She has pressure.
Man, it's so good. It's so good.
I love that so much. Yeah, leg drag is something that I'm kind of like integrating newly. It's not like my favorite pass by any means. I stick to the traditionals. Knee cut and X pass are bread and butter for me. I see them everywhere, but yeah, leg drag is something I'm trying to work my timing on, but that's awesome.
What do you like? Like, what do you usually feel like? What's your pass?
My number one pass is probably X pass, like every single time. And the rolling Kimura. And I call that my lazy pass because when I'm just
that's your scramble.
When I'm frustrated with the legs, I'm like, well, shit, I'm just gonna jump over your legs. I'm done with this.
It works. That's so funny.
Yeah, so it was such a pleasure chatting with you ladies, getting to know more about you personally and your brand and your mission. And just I'd love to share just one thing that I didn't know about your company that just like makes me love it even more is your whole aspect of like giving back to Mother Earth and the sustainability aspect. That made me so happy. So I love that you guys, contribute in that way and, are giving back, creating new products and stuff. It can create a lot of waste. So doing what you can to, give back and recycle, and to minimize that is something that really means a lot to me personally. So it was really nice to hear that aspect of your mission. So thank you so much for sharing that. And you guys are both gems. Your energy is beautiful. It was so nice to connect and meet you guys face to face, and definitely look forward to potentially collabing in the future and doing some other things and supporting each other. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast episode, and we'll see you later. So
Thank you so much, Natty.
Yeah, thank you, Natty. Come to the open mat.
Yeah.
Send me the dates.
We want you there. All right.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, girls.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.